Welcome to my live stream. Welcome to my cactus live stream, cactus care, sowing out, cleaning the desk, all that good stuff. Today I brought a lot of seed-grown cactus seedlings that I wanted to show you again. In most episodes of the stream, we go through the seedlings that we have sown out, or we sow out actually. I brought a little bit of sowing soil that we can use later to sow out a little, to plant a few cacti here and there. So yeah, I brought that. I brought a lot of seedlings out of the container. Hey, good morning. Welcome to the stream. Great to see you. I'm a little late. I don't know. Kami wanted to hunt mice, and I was standing beside her, acting loud and clumsily to make sure that the mouse gets away, you know? In the end, the mouse got away, and Kami was very disappointed in my hunting skills. But yeah. So that's why I'm a little late, but I brought a fair amount of interesting stuff for the stream today. Think it will be interesting. So I hope you are all right. Hope you guys have a great time. Everyone who will find us or finds us now. For one, I wanted to show you something that went bad. Like, let's start with the bad. This is a total loss, like total. And you know, I could have just not shown it, but I believe that it is necessary when you're really doing it. You also need to show that when things don't go all right. Because that happens to everyone, but very few talk about it. So yeah, this one here, probably a total loss. There's one seedling here that I will try to get up again. The soil is so dry, and these were already weakened. It's not that these were healthy seedlings. If you have healthy seedlings, you can sometimes put them into something like this and start spraying them. But when they are weakened like here, things are pretty bad, usually go bad pretty fast. I don't think we will be able to save any here. And the soil shouldn't be so dry, but it is sometimes really tough to water them as often as they need it when they are weakened like this. Hey, welcome to the stream. Great to have you. Thank you for joining. I was out with Kami. Kami was hunting mice, and I tried. I was working as a double agent, helping the mouse to get away. When I don't like it when she's out shredding the mice. I don't want that. So I always try to positively influence it, so I don't have to later get involved. Okay. This didn't work. This definitely didn't work well. That one seedling that we see here, I think we need to put this thing back into humidity, back into one of the bags, into one of the plastic bags that we've been using. Outside, these will lose water so fast you can't fill it up. So I will close this again. There are only 2 seedlings at this point. It really doesn't matter. But this is the thing we need to do to give them a chance. Okay, let's continue. I brought a lot of different containers. A lot of them already out of the bag. In this case, the age of the seedlings is like roughly 2 months. Here's a good example for when things go well in the bag. I don't think we have to do anything. The color is a little bit starting to turn a little bit yellowish, and that is usually a sign you should fertilize them a little. I want to wait until we take them out of the bag permanently. That makes fertilizing a little easier, and also if you fertilize in a closed bag, you also fertilize any weed that is in there. Even pests will have it a lot easier when in a well-fertilized soil. There's just so many nutrients there that they can make use of. So I usually try delaying that until I take them out of the bag. Okay, here I saw one thing and decided I want to take them out of the bag here. There's one seedling in center, right in center, that suddenly disappeared. Like you can see that something has probably eaten it. And that is a sign that I want to take them out, because it could point to fungus gnats being present in the soil. And if that were the case, it would just continue to be a problem for as long as I keep it in the bag. So apart from that, these are looking good. I like them. Now that they will be fertilized, they will probably look even better. This is Uwe Kahle hybrid cross. Let me see from when. 2024. Uwe Kahle 2024, 171. Okay. So let's see what's this. Oh, this is, I was sowing out here and I put this aside because the humidity wasn't right. This is too dry. If you want to induce germination, it needs to be a little bit more humid than this, a little bit more moisture into the soil. This is too dry. At some point, the seeds feel like it's not the right climate to come up. And that means that you won't get any germinations. This whole thing was empty, and there should have been seedlings in there. The fact that nothing had happened was probably caused by not enough water, not putting in enough water in the beginning. But that's what I say all the time. It's not so easy. You always have to look at the soil and guess how much water you need to put in there. And sometimes it gets lost. It sinks down into the pot. Some soil can take in a lot of water. Are there any species or genuses you don't have but would like to grow? Sure, I like Atrocereus. There's a bunch of really nice Atrocereus hybrids. And the species itself, like the genus itself, is great, with some species with incredibly beautiful flowers. Apart from that, what else? Yeah, I really like some of the like the more warm-loving species, like Pilosocereus are great if you can plant them out, something like that, you know. It would probably depend on whether I can plant them out or not. I would love to plant out a lot of cacti that don't take the cold here. Right now, I'm pretty much limited to certain genera because the winter temperature is just not enough. And unfortunately, that has kind of shaped my collection, shaped the kind of plants that I'm working with here. I just had, there's certain cacti where I had to stop working with them. I tried Rauhocereus. Rauhocereus is an amazing plant, very beautiful, but it didn't take the winter. I would love to have like a few flowering Rauhocereus just to try experiment with them. They could be great for making hybrids with other genera like Trichocereus, like Echinopsis. But unfortunately, the plant that I had didn't make it in winter. And the whole greenhouse was all right. There was one plant that had turned yellow, and that was it. So Rauhocereus is one of my favorites that I would love to have. And every time I tried, something overwintering didn't really go well. Same happened with Borzi cactus. Borzi cactus is a close relative of Loxanthocereus. And also, I had a few really nice plants, and they ended up not making it in winter at the normal temperature that the others take it. You know, it's always always difficult to kind of just, you need to set the temperature, the winter temperature for all of them. And when you have that one plant that doesn't take it, you often have to take it in the house over winter. And in my opinion, it's a bad way to overwinter them if you want them to flower. So yeah, that's probably what I would want to grow. Okay, so I wanted to show you the stuff with the vegetables, like with the chili. This thing has come up. This is just a chili seed, and I have noticed that they had trouble getting rid of the seed at the top, and I could see a little mold on that. Very often, the seedling will be able to spread out the leaves and get rid of it, but at this point, I'm a little bit worried that it will not do that. So sometimes I just try to carefully open up this thing with a surgical scissor or something like that. So the seedling has it easier to get rid of that thing. You usually plant them a little deeper to make sure that when they come out of the soil, they can leave that behind. But when that doesn't happen, it sometimes gets stuck. So I will have to, maybe as soon as I find my scissor, I will have to do that. I wanted to do it on stream, but I can't find the scissor. Okay, so let's continue. So this is the one that I watered again. By the way, this has a seedling. So gotta be careful when I bring that to the heat again, to the heat source, that it doesn't overheat that one seedling, because sometimes you try to get more germinations, and in the end, all you achieved was to lose that one seedling that you had that just didn't take the extra heat. Okay. I also brought some of the ones that I transplanted into takeaway containers, food takeaway containers, and I wanted to show you how they look compared to the others. Okay. And welcome everyone to my stream. I appreciate it. Every now and then we have a lot of people here, so thank you for joining. These here are too deep in the pot, and it also kind of creates a double problem with the moss here. It's just a little bit too humid, but for now it's going well. This can happen. This can work. This can work out, but you need to be very careful about fungal infections, root rot. Over there, I just see that here's a seedling that doesn't even have a root, and that kind of worries me. Usually when they have this size, they don't survive without having a root. I would put it back in just in case, maybe it makes it. I try to plant it a little bit deeper, but there's a good chance I will have to take this one out because it doesn't have a chance, probably. I could take it out now, but I believe in giving chances, so we'll see. Apart from that, I will take away moss now. I want to take out this moss, and I will probably take them out of humidity. I just don't really like how this is looking. I worry that at some point the humidity that's down there in that shady part that has moss, that it will overwater a seedling like that. The soil might be too wet, and the consistency of the soil, where you have moss, it changes. It just becomes like it traps water sometimes, and that can be a problem for seedlings. So I believe we need to take them out. We could leave them in a little longer, but I'm sure that these seedlings don't have like endless time in humidity. At some point, it will backfire just by my gut feeling. So I'm taking them out now. Okay, this one here, freshly sown. This is one of the later ones that I have planted. Also Teleflora, and you can see the same pattern in these seedlings that you can see in the bigger ones. Variegation, tiny seedlings, very, very barely qualifying as a seedling, some of them. Genetically, this is just a wide kind of hybrid between two distant genera, and it didn't produce the healthiest offspring. But maybe we can get a bunch of them to a large size where we can see how the flower looks, something like that. You know, these could still be great hybrids. They are just not genetically healthy. So, and you need to keep that in mind going forward. If something very unique, very cool would come from them, you might make an exception. But generally, I try to focus on plants that are genetically healthier. Okay. Yeah, this is getting crazy here. Lot of seedlings, and this needs to be taken care of very soon. Transplanting, maybe splitting this up into 4 different square pots. Definitely too many for one container. You would just eventually something would happen. Eventually, one of those seedlings would run out of space by pressing against the walls, and it would lead to an infection that would start making problems. So yeah, this needs to be transplanted very soon. For now, I will close it up again, but at some point I need to do something here. There's not a lot of space upwards to the end of the bag. Okay. These are looking good. Little bit too deep, like in the other, but right now everything is so dry in there that there isn't a problem. If this were constantly wet like over days, then you could really have more problems with overwatering, fungus gnat, that stuff, even maybe fungal infections. But right now there's very little risk, and the biggest concern right now is that they don't get enough water. In the beginning, this is very hard. You always have to look at the soil. Sometimes you even have to touch the soil because the top layer can look wet and below everything's completely dry. You really want to avoid that. So these I transplanted due to the lack of square pots, and we tried this out here. These are good for sowing out, and in this case, I used it just to transplant the seedlings into it. It will show us a little bit, like just show problems long term that we get with these that we don't have with these, and the other way around, where this can be beneficial, maybe better than the square pots. There's a point to make for both. In my opinion, I started to sow out with the square pots because you don't have to repot in the beginning. And in this case, at some point, you might have to repot. You can't just take them out, put them out, and put them in the rain. For example, they wouldn't make that. They would, like, the water would turn this thing into a pool, and within short time you would lose the seedlings. And once you start making holes into this thing, you kind of unroot the seedlings. It's just easier to plant out right away into the square pot, which already comes with the drainage holes. And you can always decide, do you want to put the bag around it again or not? Okay, so I want to spray these a little carefully because they, when you water them in the first times after transplanting, they often fall over. That's just because the new soil hasn't really settled in yet. So after transplanting, you will have to correct that a few times, not once, a few times usually. So try to keep that in mind. If the seedlings, if you transplant and water and you have seedlings that are kind of crooked, don't really have a solid connection, it definitely decreases their prognosis, like the survival rate and all. It's better to have them really well positioned. And every time you water, that can change again. So just, I always constantly take a pot and get me a little stick or a little piece of plastic and just try to improve their position a little bit. I don't really want to change it completely. I don't want to stress them all the time, but you sometimes need to help them a little. In nature, you would never have so many seedlings that make it to adulthood. This is the type of stuff that would happen in nature, where like that would mean huge losses of seedlings, and many seedlings needed for one large wild plant. Because we can do this kind of stuff, and in nature nobody cares if a seedling is lying on the side or not. Okay. So here I noticed that the bag was open a little. Shouldn't happen with all the fungus gnat problems that we had. But for now, I can't see them. Maybe they didn't get in. Apart from that, I don't like how in center this is, like in the corner, this is sewn out. But I did it, so I got to take responsibility for it. The moss here isn't really reaching the seedlings yet, so I'm not that worried about it. Humidity is a little bit too wet in the way that this could definitely be enough for fungus gnats, you know. But yeah, I haven't seen them, so it would be all right. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. I'm always thankful to see the supporters and really cool people that join me all the time. I appreciate it. Yeah. Okay. Seedlings themselves don't look healthy. Also, a few of them are growing, but not really. And one thing that you notice, there's this seedling here, it's like twice as big as the others. And here's one that's also a little far ahead, probably genetically. This is Mamacita Acacia hybrid, Acacia echinopsis hybrid, and I expect to see like mutations from these seedlings, but also poor genetic health. Both is possible. And if you look at the seedlings right now, the fact that some of them are so delayed already points into that direction. Okay, so these have a unique kind of discoloration. I really find them interesting. Soil is too dry. I just gotta water more often. I gotta spray them more often during the day. Yesterday I sprayed maybe 3 or 4 times. But this soil dries out so fast. And once you turn down the heat a little bit, then they kind of stop growing, or they slow down growing substantially. Here's another one that I transplanted. This is the pumice that's rolling around, but the seedlings are somewhat in the ground. Apart from that, yeah, I like the square pots more, but this thing here draws everything a little bit further away, so you have more space for the seedlings in the beginning, compared to the, like, the little space that you have in a square pot. This can draw it out a little. So I want to spray this again, and I need to, during the day, a few times, just take time out of my day to do this, to spray them. Every time the soil is completely dry, I try to spray them again. Yeah, this one here, this was very affected by fungus gnats, unhealthily, like total mess. I can still see it on the seedlings. Seedlings still don't look healthy. I expect that one or two of these will not make it, but we will give them a chance. Also, I need to spray them. Especially important in the beginning when the soil hasn't settled yet, because otherwise the seedlings have soil sticking to them everywhere. It just takes away light that the seedling would otherwise get. These have been fertilized and you can see it. Really healthy growth, starting to grow out of the pot upwards. Yeah, and also bone dry, completely dry soil. When you are growing seedlings, watering is one of the main jobs in the beginning. And one of my biggest losses always with seedlings was when I didn't water enough. I was always unsure if what I was giving them was too much or not enough. And in the beginning, you just don't have the experience to see it. You read all these different opinions, different things that different people recommend, but every case is different, every environment is different, you know. And yeah, in my opinion, it is safer to, if you are unsure and you see that the soil is dry, you know, when the soil dries, then they need water. Usually little seedlings, there are exceptions, and these I would grow in a very fast draining mineral medium. The kind of plants that I grow, they like a lot of water in the beginning and also later. I mean, we will start watering in the greenhouses in the garden on March 15th. March 15th will be the start of the new season, and from that moment on there will be water a lot. So in order for the plants to flower, you often see the photos with many flowers that I post or many fruits, you know, and that just takes a lot of water. They need a lot of water for that. They need a lot of water early so they know they have the energy to actually flower fully, to, like, you know, to their full potential. And you just need to provide a lot of water for that. And many people don't have flowering plants, despite the fact that the climate might support it, you know. But you would have to press them a little and early on, give the plant a bit extra energy, a little bit extra water, and then a plant will also flower in the greenhouse, like in a colder country. The big plants have been flowering like crazy, and I have to cut them back every year. Every time they reach the roof, I need to cut them back, and they're still flowering. And it has to do with water. If you ask me, water is much more important than most of the other stuff. Like fertilizer is a big thing. You know, I believe in also fertilizing appropriately, like in the right dosage and all, because a lot of people don't fertilize the way they should. But if you ask me, water is even more important. I mean, it is essential. Okay, this one here, healthy seedlings, they will get fertilizer now for the first time, I believe. The way they look, I don't think I've fertilized them yet, because otherwise they would have grown a little. Soil is very dry, but apart from that, this is okay. This is good. No fungus gnat. You see, the moment we started taking them out of the bag, drying everything, fungus gnat problems started to become much less of a problem. Like it was more like a nuisance now. You see maybe once or twice, you see one, but they can't propagate in that soil. So these also bone dry. It might not look like that, but very dry. And with the size of the seedlings here, it might be too dry. Like I said, I need to do more during the day, and I'm already spraying two to three times a day, maybe more sometimes. You know, it becomes second nature. You walk around, you look at the plants, and then you spray a little, and that is just the best way to do it. If I had them in the bags now, like the ones that I took out of the bags, there was always a reason why I did it. That it wasn't that I just took them out because I felt like, okay, they might make it. There was usually a thing that forced me to do it early, but they are coping with it. Seedlings are doing fine. And these here have grown a lot. Like this is an interesting cross with mutations. There will be a few like monstrous seedlings in this thing. Maybe crested, we will see. That is a little too early. But you can already see that some of them have completely abnormal growth. Sometimes there's just everything is closed. There's no actual popping going on. And that will be interesting to see how that will look long term. And yeah, also water. Right now, they don't really look dehydrated. Probably because I fertilized them. But it will become a problem. So these need water. Also, I'm not sure if I have shown this one earlier. I think not. Was also bone dry. A lot of seedlings. I think these have gotten fertilizer. Okay, next one. This is also one where I had to take them out of humidity. The seedlings look a little bit yellowish, and we will see if that is genetic or not. They are also among the ones that will be fertilized. And if that will fix the discoloration, the yellowing that some of them have, then it's probably that. But my gut feeling is that this is also genetic. Okay, so here's one in washed pumice. Super dry. But I'm spraying them. I'm spraying these more often than the others. And so far, there are two seedlings in this thing, and they look like they are growing. But this is really like that kind of size. At this kind of size, it's really maybe a little bit too early for washed pumice. I only transplanted them because at that time there were so many fungus gnat problems that needed to stop, and it achieved that. So these are also too dry. And with these, you can really see dehydration. So I will continue to spray them for the next months, maybe. And if I see any kind of dehydration, like if a pattern continues and seedlings just look like they are declining, then I can always bring them back into the bag. It's just at this point, once you had them out, that is kind of risky because fungus gnats could have gotten to the soil again, and then you have them in humidity, and then they can populate, like then they can procreate again. So yeah, check it out. This is one where I transplanted seedlings into the sowing soil in this case, and it looks good. I'm happy with this. This looks okay, but they need to be sprayed more often also because the soil hasn't fully settled in yet. At some point, this will look a lot more orderly. It just in the beginning, after you transplant it, it takes a while until the soil settles down and everything looks looks healthier again. So these here, this had a bad problem with moss, and that is gone now. But some of the seedlings are dehydrated. One or two of them are like, they looked like they wouldn't make it. And it seems like that, you know. Here's one seedling that I'm taking out. I always try to remove the dead seedlings because that can be food for fungal infection. You try to have to take out everything that can contaminate, or that can just be fuel, like fuel to like an already weakened plant, and in that case a pathogen can easily land on that, especially when you have a rotten seedling lying beside it. So yeah, this has been sprayed now. Long term, I want to take these out of the soil, but right now I'm still not happy with the dehydration that's happening there. So I try to constantly spray them until they are big enough to transplant them again. The soil here, I don't like it at all. You could really see how the algae or moss, whatever was going on there, whatever was growing on the soil, has changed the composition of the soil and the pH level. So they had to be taken out of humidity. So here's a seedling that didn't make it. Check it out. And this is probably fungus gnat related. That was the reason why I took them out of humidity. Soil feels completely dry. You wouldn't think it, but the soil is completely dry, so I'm spraying them. They are pretty big for the age. And when I start fertilizing, these will just continue to grow. Okay. This is also one of the younger batches that we have sown out. Seedlings, but not really, still not looking great. I will try to spray this a little. I don't like how the soil is still too high, like surrounding the seedlings in a way that takes away the light. It's like some of them are sunken in soil, and I tried to correct that a little. They shouldn't have contact with the soil aside from the roots. Some cacti, they grow a little bit prostrate, but in the early phase, I really try to keep them up away from the soil, because that is where a lot of contaminants are, and also something like fungus gnat. The more easily they can access a seedling, the more likely you will lose it. Okay. I need to fix this. Here's a seedling. It's like just a head looking out of a hole. That's how it looked like. Seedling doesn't look bad, so don't think there was an infection that caused that. Sometimes they are just accidentally buried. I really like, the longer I'm doing it, the more I try to make sure that the top layer of the soil is firm, gives stability to the seedlings. That is something you can grow seedlings in 10 different ways, and you can grow seedlings in a way where you see that there are some seedlings that are positioned in a bad way, and you just ignore it. You know, you can for example, you can say that survival of the fittest seedling, you know, trying to focus on the healthy ones, trying to focus on the plants that don't have that kind of disadvantage. or you can just correct it and you will end up with a lot more seedlings. When I was younger, I always had success, you know. I always had a lot of seedlings that made it, but I wasn't really looking at the ones that didn't make it during the way, you know, because you're giving away so much potential. If you still have space, fighting for every seedling can really be worth it. You never know what seedling will be that amazing hybrid or that amazing plant that is 1 out of 10,000, something like that, you know. It happens, and you never know which one will be the good one. Okay, I will leave these in the bag for a little longer. I just changed the position now, compressed the soil with a pencil to give them stability, and I'm sure they will turn out better because of it. Okay, yeah, I don't like the color a little, but not looking bad. The seedlings are looking healthy, their spines and everything. This isn't something that would worry me, discoloration, you know. It's a Uwe Kala hybrid cross from 2024. I'm not seeing any losses, and that is good, because if at this point I would see any, I would take it out now. Yeah, apart from that, it's okay. I will leave them in for a little longer. They will be fertilized when I'm taking them out of the bag, but not now. I really feel like the cases where I started fertilizing in the bag, I mean, it makes them grow faster, much faster. But you are also bringing in additional risk by you are also fueling the competition, whatever that may be, being it pests or weeds in a pot, moss, whatever. Okay, so these are in washed pumice, and this is looking okay. Just okay. In the bag, this works. It's a very fast draining medium. The particle size is 0 to 0.4 centimeters. So very small particles to make sure that the little cactus roots can actually grow around the pumice. Apart from that, yeah, for now it's good. I'm very skeptical with the washed pumice in the first 3 months compared to other types of medium soil. It just didn't result in such a good growth. Feel like the sowing soil was best. So but if it works, it works, you know. The problem with the washed pumice just starts when you have a problem that requires you to do something. You have to take them out of the bag. Then it's in a super fast draining medium that you often can't really keep wet. And yeah, but if things go well in the pumice, it's okay. It's great. It's also the medium that I would use later on, after 6 months maybe. The first 3 months, 4 months, I try to have a rather organic soil. And I think we have shown why. We have pretty good growth rate. It's not that I'm pushing for fast growth. It is not the goal of the channel here to show how fast you can grow something. It is more to show that the organic soil, the sowing soil, is a little bit safer if you don't have the excessive knowledge about mineral additives that you just need to make a mineral soil work. It's not done by just buying one mineral. Sometimes like pumice. Pumice would be great for larger cacti. Everything bigger, you could use just pure pumice if it has the right pH level. Right particle size. You can basically just use pure pumice and it will be all right. But the younger they are, the less you can do it like that. It's just very difficult to put together a mineral mix that has a similar success rate. Okay, what else? Let's sow out a little. I have sowing soil here. Let's sow out a little. So this is the rest. I had covered it yesterday when I was sowing out. I hope that was enough to keep the fungus gnats out. I want to. There are some of the big particles of soil, and I want to try to just flatten these a little. So I have a loose medium, nothing with huge chunks that will later become a problem. So just trying to get a loose sowing soil here so I can fill them into the containers. Then we're doing 6 again, I think. Yesterday we've sown out 6. If I have that many. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I have that. Okay. So, and later on we will compare that to actually the growth rates that we had in the square pots. It should basically it should be very similar in the beginning. I don't think that there's huge differences between the methods, but we'll try it out. Who knows? Always got to leave a little space towards the lid for the seedlings. If you just fill this thing, if you fill the whole thing, you need to take off the lid very fast, and that is a disadvantage in the beginning. Like in the first 3 months, the seedlings are so sensitive to dehydration that you might not take them out. Might not work if you take them out too early. You will have the problem that I discussed earlier, where you water, where you spray all the time, and it's just not enough. Yeah. I roughly try to fill half, but in some cases it's not really half. I have seen that it's a little less, probably in some, but it's okay. These can stay in there forever anyways. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Another one, and then we're sowing out. And sometime soon I want to sow out other stuff again. I will try to get a bunch of interesting trees or shrubs, fruit shrubs to grow for the channel. And we will sow these out very soon. Still haven't decided what, but I really like pawpaw. I would love to sow them out on the stream. We will see. Friend of mine has one nice pawpaw tree, and yeah, it's a cool plant. I love it. So I found seeds of Amun-Re. I'm not sure what to do with them. That is a great hybrid, Amun-Re. A lot of people ask me about it. I get like the kind of messages that I get about Amun-Re, it's like weekly. Simply because it's an amazing hybrid, and because the market, like, people haven't propagated that clone like they should have done. Amun-Re, in the past, all the cuttings were made available for free, and today there's price gouging around that clone that is ridiculous. So we will work something out about that. I really hate the price gouging around Amun-Re, and I wanna solve it. But more about that later. Hey Robert, welcome to the stream. Great to have you. Yeah, I'm not sure what to do with the Amun-Re seeds that I just found. sometimes it's good to spread a bunch of seeds here and there. So I will put them aside for now. Maybe for a seed donation. Okay. I will go through the seeds now to see if we can, if I find something for sowing out here, something that talks to me in a positive way, you know. So far, nothing. I don't know. This is all not what I want right now. A lot of hybrids with Gräsers Erfolg Selbstbestäubung. I wanted to try these. This is one that I've sown out, and so far I have not seen any seedlings. And I want to try it again to see if the seeds are viable. Okay, this is a hybrid or a plant called LAS. We'll see if the seeds are viable. If not, that would be a shame because it was a huge fruit. But usually, when you try it out with fresh seeds, they should come up. And the fact that they haven't come up, like not one seedling, really makes me feel like this could be just genetically not healthy. So okay, let's try it out. I only want to sow out one of them because there's a high risk that these are not viable. If these seeds don't come up either, then I will write a note that these are probably unviable, genetically unviable. Can't find my my tags. Oh, come on. They must be here somewhere. Give me a second. I have a bag of new tags beside me. Okay. I bought a huge bag of these plant labels, and they had terrible quality. I really didn't like it. I feel like they are made for some sort of a printer that I don't have, but they work. But I only use them when I don't find the other ones. So yeah, this is LAS test. So we are testing if these are viable or not. Gut feeling, they are not viable. Carefully watering in the beginning. There's not a lot of soil. There's not a lot of space downwards. And when I use soil, it usually has a little bit of humidity already. So you don't have to completely soak that thing. So let me see what else. I just have too many good seeds. This is just bad. Okay, so this is another hybrid between Sörensia arboricola and a Sally hybrid. Sally hybrid by Miss Plant. And I want to clean this up first because I saw that this hadn't been cleaned well. So I'm putting them on a piece of paper and just roll them around to get rid of everything that isn't a viable seed. Just need something that I can put below in case I drop viable seeds here and there. These are very, very small seeds. Classic Sörensia seed size. And I always, when I'm sowing out, I always clean that stuff well. Hey, welcome to the stream. Great to have you. I'm always happy to take questions. If not, I'm just, doing the classic cactus stuff. Sowing out. Doing a lot of sowing out right now. trying to actually just do it, you know, that people, it really helps when you can just watch and see how other people do it. I constantly learn just by watching other breeders. I really believe, like, when you're sowing out, there's so many different ways you can do it. So you will constantly run into people that do things completely differently. And yeah, I mean, the longer I do it, the simpler I try to sow out. You see, this is just sowing soil. It's nothing fancy. And I think that is something that helps. Don't overcomplicate things. I usually failed spectacularly when I tried a very special kind of soil, but I wasn't using it the right way. I was just leaving out one kind of additive, one kind of mineral that was necessary to make it work. And in the end, I would have had much better results just sowing out with a standard sowing soil. Okay. Yeah, I just try to clean the seeds here so I can start sowing them out. I will probably split it up over 2 containers. And this, let's talk about the hybrid. Cerenzia arboricola and Zelli. That is the combination. I had a few crosses with Cerenzia arboricola from Misplant. And if you ask me, the arboricola hybrids are some of the best hybrids that Misplant ever did. And in this case, it is a pair of the 2 best hybrids, like the famous ones, like the Zelli hybrid. I think we can already say that this thing has become a term that most hybrid breeders know. Like what a Zelli hybrid is, you know, when that name came up, I was, you know, I thought about the name and all, and I thought it doesn't make sense to just call all of them the same, you know. But if you think about it, if you look at them now, like that type of hybrid between arboricola and grandiflorus, it's such a great combination that the name is earned, you know. Now when you say that, people know what it is. And that's why I really like this hybrid cross. And that is why I bought that years ago, and sown them out. The flowers were really nice, like a mixture between the Cerenzia arboricola flower and the Zelli flower. And the body, there are many hybrids with arboricola that just look like arboricola. And this was one of the very few that didn't. You could really see the Zelli body in that arboricola hybrid. And in this case, I tried to make a cross with Pink Stripes. Pink Stripes was the father that I brought into that hybrid cross here. That's the cross that made the seeds. And yeah, I see potential there. On one hand, you have that abundant flowering of arboricola, but you have it in that colorful mix with Zelli. Like the flowers were all a little bit different, but all colorful, interesting. And you bring in Pink Stripes for the unique color. That was kind of the idea behind the cross. And when I just saw it, I felt like, yeah, we really need to sow that out. I would really like to have a version of arboricola with the pink stripes kind of color. That would be nice, because so far I've seen them in so many different colors, but that one I haven't seen yet. Maybe we can make it happen here. In roughly 4 years, we will know if we can grow them successfully. In 4 years, we will probably be able to tell. And this is a hybrid cross from 2024, black season. Okay. Yeah, it's not perfectly clean, but it's clean enough. That is great. That is great. Yeah, this is I constantly find interesting stuff like this, and you just have to. I have to grow more, you know. Unfortunately, try to actually when we're doing a cross, you also it would be a waste not to grow them. Something like this always has potential. So I try to split it between 2 containers. And I always just sprinkle the seeds on top. I mean, a lot of the people know that, but since we often kind of reach people from outside, I want to say cactus seeds need light. So I always sprinkle them on top of the soil. Okay, yeah, Arboricola, Sally. And by the way, I have videos of that hybrid on the channel. If you want to have a look, I called it Arboricola crossed with Scopolycola, but I later found the label and it was a Sally hybrid. So you should be able to even see the flower on the channel somewhere in a reel, something like that. I posted it before. Okay, and hybrid cross 2024 52. Okay, and now second label for the other one. Okay. The seeds actually look viable. I'm pretty positive these should come up. Arboricola flying saucer, yeah, has potential. Because like if you think about that kind of cross, the problem with Arboricola is the size, actually. It is not so big compared to the other kind of hybrids that are so common right now, like Cantora, Flying Dragon, whatever, or Bamboy, you know, like the flower size of Arboricola is a little small. So it makes sense to pair it with Flying Saucer, which brings in that huge flower. But you can't predict how the cross will come out. Sometimes, if a certain body comes through, there's a limit on size, on flower size. So it is a matter of luck. You try to make that cross. On theory, it sounds great. And it remains to be seen how big the flowers of the offspring will be, like how big of an impression Flying Saucer can make. And you never know. You always have to do the cross. Sometimes a unique genetic situation just works well. And some crosses that sound great can turn out to total failure. Totally laughable. I've seen that very often. Okay, so I watered this a little. And the water will always sink a little. I find it easier to water these here compared to when you have the soil in a taller pot. That is something that I noticed, that I gotta say. And it makes sense, you know, if the water has a lot of space downwards to sink down. Here when you spray it, the water's saturated very fast. The soil is saturated very fast. Okay, so I will close these two up. Right now, I think I have maybe 20 of them already at the heater. Just trying to get seedlings. And so far, Not a lot has happened. I haven't checked this morning, so maybe we have gotten germinations today, but yesterday I haven't seen any. Okay. So these are tunariensis, Sörensia tunariensis, but unfortunately this is not the right one. I have seen tunariensis in the habitat, you know, and they are not that plant. Tunariensis is actually a very sick kind of plant. It reminded me very much of a columnar growing Sörensia schickendanzi. And the kind of tunariensis that's making the round is more like a telegonus hybrid. It is almost certainly telegonus or something related to it. Okay. Here's another Amun-Re. So we have Amun-Re seeds still a bunch. This is feathers. I also have feather seeds that I will try to work something out with them very soon in the next weeks. I haven't decided how, but something needs to happen here. I don't want them to become unviable. Yeah, I would throw out some of these. This is also a feathers hybrid. Yeah, Scopolycola is a nice body, always nice plant. I like them. It's just also very dominant, and you can get into a situation like with the same kind of stuff that you have with Cantora, where every hybrid looks the same eventually. I wish with the Scopolycola hybrids, it would kind of be a little bit more even with the distribution of the body, like with the genes, you know. No matter what kind of a hybrid cross you do with Scopolycola, it instantly becomes a Scopolycola hybrid. Like you see it instantly, and I had that with Arboricola, you know, Scopolycola. These two species, I feel like they are very dominant in regards to passing down the look and the flower, at least roughly. Okay, so yeah, these are a Feathers hybrid. Feathers is a multi-hybrid by Uwe Kahle, and it has a ragged flower, looks a little bit like Feathers, very much like Super Apricot, and it's no accident because one of the parents of Feathers is also one of the parents of Super Apricot, and that is probably where the mutated flower comes from, and that is Super Gelb. Super Gelb, original Robert Gräser hybrid from the 60s, 50s. I don't know. I need to look. But very old hybrid. And in regards to the flowers, they are really interesting, like that ragged kind of flower. If you can get it into columnar cactus, it would be great. So I've been constantly making crosses with it, usually between it and a columnar, but also constantly trying to breed in Wörlitz. Wörlitz is one of the best hybrids of the European community from the last 40 years, maybe. It is a very good hybrid, and it is an even better father or mother in a cross. It works best as a mother, but I've also seen many good crosses involving Wörlitz where it was just a father. And yeah, in this case, I try to cross the yellow flowering Feathers hybrid. So it has these ragged, feathery yellow flowers. And that is usually the kind of color that works great with Wörlitz. Wörlitz or Wörlitz Cantora hybrids, they are a good kind of father for yellow. So I try to, in this case, maybe get a feathery or ragged kind of flower, but with the classic pink stripes kind of color. The color in pink stripes comes from the combination of Wörlitz and Cantora Gelb. Cantora Gelb, huge yellow flower, and Wörlitz has that strong purple contrast. Pink, purple, pink, purple, really strong contrast. Very often the camera can't pick it up because the contrast is so strong. And then you mix it with yellow, that could be great. So that is the hybrid cross that we're sowing out right now. Feathers crossed with Wörlitz. I would really love to have pink stripes color in a ragged flower. And it's not, I usually do that cross at least a few times every year. And so far, I have never seen any kind of plant from those crosses flower. We should probably get them this year. Like the first seedlings should probably flower this year. I'm currently in a position where I'm breeding with certain plants for years now, and I can still not tell you if they are perfect parents or not. That is the problem when you're breeding with plants that take 5 to 7 years to flower. It's easier to do that, like to be a breeder with Lobivia or Echinopsis. You can get those to flower within 2 years, 2 or 3 years. And when you are a breeder that works with the bigger kind of cacti, columnar cacti, they sometimes take 15 years to flower, like in botanical kind of conditions. Of course, there are exceptions, and with the hybrid breeding, you can shorten that time span. You can decrease the time it takes for them to flower, but you got to invest some time. And I can already tell you that some of the flowers that I will see this year will make me change my stock, the way I work with the plants that I'm working with. I will stop breeding with some plants that I will see where I see the flowers this year, like from 2018, for example, 2018, 2019. Those were the years that should flower this year or next year. And I'm sure that I would see something where I say, okay, I will never use that plant again. This is it. This is so ugly. I will not work with it again. Or I will see something, an amazing plant, like producing amazing offspring, and I have already sorted it out. That can also happen. These are the problems that you have when it takes so long to see the offspring, when it takes so long to grow the cacti afterwards. I started really breeding like for real success around maybe 2016, 2017, when I had greenhouses, when I suddenly started getting good greenhouses. Like after making the book allowed me to finally build a good greenhouse, and then you can see a wave of good stuff coming out after that. Okay, so I put in the seeds here. Like I said, feathers crossed with Wörlitz. I still have another bag of feather seeds for later, for giving them away. For now, I will sow some of them out, like the ones that have just a few seeds in them. I remember this one here had the biggest fruit that I ever had on feathers. So it looked genetically healthy. And those I gave away last year or the year before already, like 2024 was the year when these were harvested. And they were among the last seeds that I sent around, like commercially. So could be a good cross. Like with so many seeds, you can definitely something went right there. Okay, feathers crossed with Wurlitz 2024 13. That's the cross number. Okay. I was just spraying for a few seconds, not long. This is really, when you're sowing out with these, the soil is saturated very fast. Okay, so let's move this aside. So 2 more. Let's see what else I have there. I should probably sow some of those other feather hybrids. Should sow out some of these too. I don't think I've sown them out. I only gave some away, but I realized you also have to grow your stuff. As a breeder, you need to grow your stuff. If you aren't growing it, most people will not come to your rescue. If you are not making sure that you really see out what kind of a cross you made, it will never happen. You can be lucky that you have given someone seeds and the guy kept the label and also is kind enough to say, hey, this guy was the breeder. But in many cases, it won't happen. People will just forget. After 5, 6, 7 years, they will tell you a chicken ate the label. Something that happened to me, like always, the chickens always ate the labels, and I see it happening to me too. It's not that, it happens. So I realized you need to be able as a breeder to grow your stuff. You need to, when you see it somewhere, you need to be able, okay, to say that's one of my hybrids. Here are the sister plants. That's how you do it. I try to grow at least 1 container of every cross that I make, but it's no longer possible to do it reliably. At some point, you are just running out of space. Imagine you a commercial breeder maybe makes 500 crosses a year. Just picture 500 containers in front of you every year. Every year. So at some point you have to pick and choose. Pick something and believe in it and write it out. And some others you have to, unfortunately, send out, trust people to grow those. Okay, maybe 100 seeds here. 100 seeds. And I'm sowing these because genetically it looked very interesting. A big fruit. When I see a big fruit, that is for me usually a sign that something was working together. Like they made a great combination. Whatever pollen I put on there, and the mother, they worked well together. Because very often when you make a hybrid cross that is unhealthy, you can see it in the fruit too. Some fruits are tiny, and then you have 1 or 2 seeds in there, or none, or sometimes 20, but it's not comparable to a super healthy kind of fruit that is full of seeds. And in this case, it looks like it might be worth the time to grow them. Okay. Yeah, I'm putting them into 1 container. The seed count was just about so many that I usually try to split it up. But space is becoming an issue already, like with sowing out. Okay, so this is feathers. I think the father was a columnar. 2024, 102. I need to look up the parent, but I believe the father was a columnar. And that's what interests me also. I want to have something that has a columnar body, and a nice big ragged flower. Ideally not in white. Okay. I think this is already enough. I'm always amazed how fast the water sinks in here. But I need to open them up again in the next couple of weeks. At some point, we will have to look and make sure that the soil definitely has the right humidity. Right now, it looks like this. Otherwise, I would not close them up. But it always sinks in a little. You always lose a little water. So after the first week or so, I usually check. I usually open them up again. And if necessary, I fill up water during that time. Here's another feathers hybrid. I really had a lot of them last year. Okay, here's something that I like, First 12. These are the hybrids that I want to grow more of in the future. Interesting kind of multi-hybrid between Lobivia and a columnar hybrid. So really multi-hybrid. The body is interestingly thick, like a... I have shown my plant, the mother plant, where this came from, and it looks like a ball, a huge chunk. Unusual kind of hybrid body, because Lobivia, they usually stay smaller. They don't grow very tall, maybe 30 centimeters, not much taller. And in this case, it just keeps growing and growing and growing. And I can't tell you where the limit is, but we will find out. And I usually try to cross them with something that goes even more into the columnar direction. Maybe I can get that Lobivia flower into the columnar body, and then use all kinds of different Lobivia as parent with them, with these plants as mother plants. Lobivia and Trichocereus, for example, they sometimes don't cross. So you need that little genetic bridge in between to help a little. The flower color of Lobivia is amazing. Some of them are great. So much potential if you could use that to just pollinate a random columnar cactus. And that's why we're sowing these out here. Okay, and this is the last one, last container. That's great, Robert. Glad to hear. At some point, I'm always happy to look up the parents and stuff like that. You know, I want to say that in general, if someone grows something from me, just send me an email at eg@trichocereus.net, and I'm happy to have a look. Happy to look it up. I also want to, it helps me also when I see that in 10 years from now, I will be able to know which cross brought out which hybrid. So I'm always happy to help. I might not, I don't have the fastest response time, but I usually get back. Okay. So these are from Fast 12. Fast 12, really good hybrid. I love it. Reddish kind of flower. I just put in an empty label, I think. I didn't even write anything on the label. I just put in an empty label. This is how it starts. I'm already getting senile. Okay. The cross number here is 2024 37. Okay. So let's put up the last lid. And then I will move these to the heater also. In total, I think we have sewn out 25 in the takeaway containers. Interesting side quest to figure out how it will work with the takeaway containers. I really want to try different stuff all the time. Every time I'm doing something different, and we'll see how it changes the health of the seedlings. It's great to if you can really show why a certain medium is better than others. Okay, yeah. Apart from that, I just wanted to say thank you for the support, guys. I decided I want to do more for the supporter area on YouTube again. I apologize for not having updated recently, but I will get back to it. I just am currently putting out so much stuff to help the channel grow, and I need to focus. I need to have a little time extra, but I will film some segments exclusively for the supporters and all. I greatly appreciate the support, and I wanted to say that again. Everyone who comes here also, helping by liking posts, liking videos, or sharing the word. I appreciate it, and I wouldn't be here today if these people wouldn't have brought me here already. Like that kind of community that I really appreciate. Right now, times are tough for so many people, and I appreciate that. Gotta say the good things. Okay, guys, yeah. Thank you, Robert, for the support with Patreon, and thank you for everyone who does it. It's of course it's not necessary, but it will help me eventually not going broke. At some point the goal is to not go broke, and yeah, we're on a good road. I'm not really approaching it as a business, like I'm approaching it as a business in the way that I believe if you put out quality, at some point you will have success and you will be able to live from it. That's the goal. I just enjoy what I do right now, and I will try to do it for as long as possible. Okay, so thank you, guys. Thank you for supporting, and if it's just for the likes and the comments, I appreciate it. So thank you. I'll be back tomorrow. I hope you have a great day, and tomorrow we'll see. Maybe we'll sell out a little bit more, but it's getting full. Take care. Have a nice time.